shocking Maid's bold claim. I want your husband, but wait till you hear why. 3 things happened in rapid succession. My housemaid asked to speak with me privately. She took a deep breath that lasted way too long. And then she dropped a bomb that included the words, I want your husband. Now pause. What would you do in that moment? Fire her, call your husband, storm out. I did none of those things because the sentence didn't end where you think it did. There were 6 more words after. I want your husband. 6 words that completely changed everything. That turned what should have been the worst day of my life into something I'll never, ever forget. Stay with me, because this plot twist is chef's kiss levels of unexpected.
Hey, story lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
But let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here. My name is Rebecca Martinez, and 6 months ago I had what most people would call a perfect life. Penthouse overlooking the city. A husband, Daniel Roberts, who ran a successful tech consulting firm. Designer everything. The kind of life you see in magazines and think, they have it all figured out. Except we didn't. Daniel and we'd become roommates who occasionally had dinner together. The passion died somewhere between his 3rd startup and my promotion to senior vice president at the marketing firm. We were professional life partners, efficient, polite, dead inside. That's when Christopher Davis walked into my life. Christopher was a client, brilliant, attentive, and dangerously interested in more than just our campaign strategies. Our late-night working sessions turned into longer dinners. Dinners turned into hotel rooms. Hotel rooms turned into a full-blown affair that I told myself I deserved. I was careful, always careful. Separate phone, cash payments, different part of town, never the same hotel twice. But I wasn't careful enough. Rosa Lopez, our housemaid of 3 years, had been invisible to me. That was the problem. When you treat someone like furniture, you forget they have eyes, and ears, and a phone with a very good camera. That Tuesday started like any other. Daniel left for a conference in Boston. I told Rosa I'd be working from home. She nodded, smiled that quiet smile, and went about her dusting. What I didn't know, Rosa had followed me 2 weeks earlier. Photographed me and Christopher entering the Gatsby Hotel downtown. Captured us through the ground-floor restaurant window, his hand on my face, my lips on his. The photos were damning. Clear, undeniable. At 2 p.m., Rosa knocked on my home office door. Mrs. Martinez, may I speak with you? It's important. Something in her voice made my stomach drop. She wasn't asking. She was announcing. I followed her to the living room. She didn't sit. Neither did I. I need to show you something, Rosa said, pulling out her phone. My blood turned to ice as she swiped through the images. Me and Christopher. 5 different occasions I thought no one had witnessed. Every angle told the same story. I was a cheater. What do you want? I whispered, my voice barely functioning. Money, how much? Rosa shook her head slowly. I don't want your money, Mrs. Martinez. Relief started to flood through me for exactly half a second. I want your husband. The room tilted. Those 4 words hung in the air like a death sentence. My mind raced through scenarios. Was she obsessed with Daniel? Had they been having an affair behind my back? Was this revenge? Insanity? Excuse me, I managed. I want your husband, Rosa repeated, her voice steady now, stronger. But not the way you think. And that's when she said the 6 words that changed everything. I want you to help me seduce him. Silence, pure, suffocating silence. I stared at Rosa like she'd grown a second head. You want me to help you seduce my husband? Yes. Rosa sat down now, crossing her legs, suddenly looking less like a maid and more like someone who'd been planning this for months. I've been watching your marriage, Mrs. Martinez. You don't love him. You barely talk to him. You're having an affair with Christopher Davis. Yes, I know his name, and you've been lying to your husband for 7 months. 6 months, I corrected automatically. then realized how ridiculous that sounded. 6, 7 doesn't matter. Point is, you don't want him, but you also don't want to lose him, do you? The divorce, the settlement, the scandal, your reputation at the firm. Rosa counted on her fingers like she was listing groceries. All gone. Poof. These photos get out and you're the bad guy, the cheater, the homewrecker of your own home. My throat was so tight I could barely breathe. So you're blackmailing me. I'm offering you a solution, Rosa corrected smoothly. You keep your marriage, your reputation, your comfortable life, and I get what I want. Which is my husband, I said flatly. Which is your husband, she confirmed. In my bed, regularly, for as long as I want. The audacity was breathtaking. I should have been furious. Should have been calling security, lawyers, the police. But the cold, calculating part of my brain, the part that had climbed the corporate ladder, was already doing the math. If Rosa exposed me, I'd lose everything. The prenup Daniel insisted on 5 years ago was ironclad. Infidelity meant I walked away with almost nothing. Meanwhile, Daniel would get the penthouse, the cars, the investments, and the moral high ground. But if I played along with Rosa's insane scheme? What exactly are you asking me to do? I heard myself say. Rosa's eyes lit up. She'd hooked me and we both knew it. Simple, you're going to create opportunities for me and Daniel to be alone. You're going to talk me up, plant seeds. Make him see me as a woman, not just the maid. You're going to go away for a weekend, a work trip, visiting family, I don't care, and you're going to leave us alone in this house. And if he's not interested, I challenged. Rosa smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Then you'll convince him to be interested. You're a marketing executive, Mrs. Martinez. You sell products nobody needs every single day. Surely you can sell your own husband on the idea of a beautiful woman who's interested in him. The word beautiful coming from Rosa's mouth struck me. I'd never really looked at her before. Mid-30s, maybe. Dark hair always pulled back. Simple clothes. But now, sitting across from me with confidence radiating from her like heat. Yeah, she was beautiful. The kind of beautiful that had been hiding in plain sight. How do I know you won't show Daniel these photos anyway? I asked. Because I want him, not a divorce settlement, Rosa said. I want him to choose me, to desire me. If he finds out about your affair, he'll divorce you, sure. But then he's single, heartbroken, and I'm just the maid who exposed his wife. That's not what I want. I want him while he's still yours. The forbidden, the secret, that's the pleasure. The pleasure, my stomach turned. This is insane, I muttered. This is survival, Rosa corrected. For both of us, you get to keep your perfect life. I get what I've been wanting since the day I started working here. Everyone wins. Except Daniel, I said quietly. Rosa shrugged. Daniel gets to sleep with a woman who actually desires him. When's the last time you looked at him with want, Mrs. Martinez? When's the last time you touched him like you couldn't help yourself? The question hit like a slap because the answer was, I couldn't remember. I need time to think, I said. You have until Daniel gets back from Boston, Rosa replied, standing up. That's 2 days. After that, if I don't have your cooperation, these photos go to his email, and to your boss, and to the partners at your firm. I've already set up the scheduled send. All I have to do is not cancel it. She walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Mrs. Martinez, I quit, effective immediately. This house is too dirty for me to clean anymore. She left, just like that. I sat in that living room for 2 hours, staring at nothing, my mind spinning through every possible scenario, every escape route, every nuclear option. But they all ended the same way, with me losing everything. Unless I did the unthinkable. Unless I helped my maid seduce my husband. I didn't sleep that night, didn't eat, just paced my bedroom like a caged animal, weighing my options. Option A, call Rosa's bluff. Maybe she wouldn't actually send the photos. Maybe I could reason with her, pay her off, threaten her back. But Rosa didn't strike me as someone who bluffed. The way she'd planned this, the timeline, the scheduled emails, she'd thought of everything. Option B, come clean to Daniel. Confess the affair, throw myself on his mercy, hope he'd forgive me. I actually laughed out loud at that one. Daniel wasn't the forgiving type. His father had cheated on his mother, destroyed their family. Daniel had exactly zero tolerance for infidelity. He'd made that crystal clear when we got married. Option C, do what Rosa wanted. My stomach churned at the thought, but the more I sat with it, the more a dark, twisted logic started to emerge. Daniel and I were over. We'd been over for years, we just hadn't admitted it yet. I didn't love him. He probably didn't love me. We were cohabitating strangers playing house. If Rosa wanted him, did I even care? The answer that bubbled up from somewhere dark inside me was, no, I didn't. I cared about my reputation, my career, my lifestyle, not my marriage. By morning, I'd made my decision. I texted Rosa, we need to talk, meet me at Café Noir at noon. She showed up wearing jeans and a leather jacket, her hair down for the first time since I'd known her. She looked different, confident, like she'd shed a skin. I'll do it, I said without preamble, but I have conditions. Rosa sipped her coffee, waiting. First, the photos get deleted the moment this arrangement begins. I'm not doing this with a sword hanging over my head forever. Agreed, Rosa said. Once Daniel and I are together, I don't need them anymore. Second, this stays completely secret. If anyone finds out, my friends, my colleagues, anyone, the deal's off and I'm taking you down with me. I don't care what it costs. Rosa nodded. I have no interest in this going public either. Third, I continued, my voice dropping, when I give you opportunities with Daniel, you take them. I'm not doing this forever. You get one shot. If he's not interested after that, you back off and we never speak of this again. He'll be interested, Rosa said confidently. How can you be so sure? Because I've been paying attention, Mrs. Martinez. I know what he likes, what he talks about when you're not listening, what makes him laugh, what he's hungry for that you stopped giving him years ago. The words should have hurt, but they just felt true. When does this start? I asked. Saturday, Rosa said. You're going to invite me to dinner, not as the maid, as your friend, someone you met at a networking event. You're going to reintroduce me to Daniel as an equal. He'll recognize you. Maybe, maybe not. I'll look different. And even if he does, you'll play it off as a coincidence. People are lazy thinkers, Mrs. Martinez. They believe what makes sense. And what makes sense is that you made a new friend who happens to look a bit like the old maid. I wanted to argue, but she had a point. Fine, Saturday, dinner at 7. Rosa smiled and stood up. See you then, Mrs. Martinez, or should I say, Rebecca, we're friends now after all. She left me sitting there with my cold coffee and my burning shame. The next 2 days were surreal. I went through the motions at work, smiled at my team, closed a major deal, all while planning how to hand my husband over to another woman. Daniel came home Thursday night from Boston, tired but cheerful. He kissed my cheek, habit, not affection, and asked about my week. Busy, I said, but good. Actually, I met someone interesting at that marketing summit last month. I invited her for dinner Saturday. Hope that's okay. Sure, Daniel said, already scrolling through his phone. What's her name? Rosa Lopez. She's in brand consulting. He didn't even look up. Great, looking forward to it. It was that easy. That's how checked out we both were. Saturday arrived with terrible inevitability. I spent the afternoon cooking, something I hadn't done in months, while Daniel watched basketball in the den. At 6:45, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Rosa, and I nearly didn't recognize her. Her hair was styled in loose waves. She wore a deep red dress that hugged her curves, subtle makeup that made her eyes look enormous, and heels that brought her to my height. She looked stunning. Rebecca, she said warmly, hugging me like we were old friends. So good to see you again. The performance had begun. Daniel came to the door and I watched his face carefully. There was a flicker recognition, but then it passed. Daniel, this is Rosa Lopez. Rosa, my husband, Daniel. They shook hands. I saw Daniel's eyes linger just a moment too long. Have we met before? He asked. Rosa laughed, a musical sound I'd never heard from her. I don't think so, I'd remember. You just look familiar, Daniel said, still holding her hand. I have one of those faces, Rosa said smoothly, gently extracting her hand. Rebecca tells me you're in tech consulting. And just like that, they were talking. About artificial intelligence, about startups, about the future of work. Rosa was knowledgeable, quick, charming. She laughed at Daniel's jokes, touched his arm when she made a point, maintained eye contact. I watched my husband come alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. Dinner was worse, or better, depending on your perspective. They barely noticed I was there. The conversation flowed between them like electricity, and I was just the neutral wire. At one point, Rosa excused herself to use the restroom. The moment she was gone, Daniel leaned toward me. She's great, he said, eyes bright. Where did you meet her again? Marketing Summit, I lied smoothly. She's single, by the way, just got out of a long relationship. Why did I add that? Rosa hadn't told me to, but I could see the hook setting deeper, and some dark part of me wanted to give it a good yank. Oh, Daniel said, sitting back. That's too bad for her. But his tone said something else entirely. Rosa came back, and the evening continued. By the time she left at 11, Daniel was practically glowing. We should have her over again, he said as we cleaned up. She's really interesting. I was thinking of inviting her to that gallery, opening next month. I said casually, the one your firm is sponsoring, would that be okay? Definitely, Daniel said quickly, too quickly. I texted Rosa later that night. He's hooked. Her reply came immediately. I know, phase 2 next week. I stared at that message for a long time, wondering what I'd set in motion. Wondering if I'd ever be able to stop it. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in manipulation. Rosa became a regular presence in our lives. Gallery openings, weekend brunches, a coincidental meeting at the farmer's market. Each time she looked different, more polished, more confident, more alluring. And each time, Daniel fell a little harder. I watched it happen with a strange detachment, like viewing a car crash through a camera lens. He started dressing better, working out again, checking his phone constantly. All the signs I'd seen in myself when Christopher first entered my life. Rosa played it perfectly. She was available but not desperate, interested but not aggressive. She asked about his work, remembered details, made him feel seen. Everything I'd stopped doing years ago. The tipping point came on a Wednesday evening. I'd told Daniel I had to fly to Chicago for a client pitch, a complete lie. Instead, I checked into a hotel 20 minutes away. Rosa had a key to our penthouse. I'd given it to her the week before, under the pretense of her watering plants while we were away. From my hotel room, I texted Daniel. Flight delayed. Won't be home until tomorrow. Sorry, honey. His response, no problem, be safe. Then I texted Rosa. The house is yours. She sent back a single emoji, a flame. I sat in that sterile hotel room, drinking wine from a plastic cup, and wondered what I'd become. I'd orchestrated my own betrayal, packaged my husband like a product, and handed him to another woman with a bow on top. The corporate skills translate, apparently. My phone buzzed at 10 p.m. A message from Rosa, just 2 words. It's done. I stared at those words until they blurred. It's done. Past tense. Accomplished. My husband had just slept with our former maid, and I'd made it happen. I should have felt something, rage, grief, jealousy, anything. But all I felt was a hollow relief. The sword had fallen. Rosa had what she wanted. The photos would be deleted. I was safe. I came home the next afternoon to find Daniel in the kitchen, making coffee. He looked different. Guilty, satisfied, both. How was Chicago? He asked, not meeting my eyes. Productive, I lied. How was your night? Quiet, he said, another lie. We were a house of liars now. Maybe we always had been. That night, Rosa texted me. Photos deleted. You can verify if you want. We're done. I didn't verify. I didn't care. I just wanted it over. But it wasn't over. Daniel started staying late at work, taking calls in the other room, smiling at his phone. All the things I'd done with Christopher. Rosa and I never spoke about what happened. She'd gotten what she wanted, I'd kept my secret, and we existed in this bizarre pact of mutual assured destruction. Except Daniel wasn't done. 2 months after that Wednesday night, he came home early, found me in the living room with my laptop. "We need to talk," he said. My heart stopped. He knew. Somehow he'd found out about Christopher. Rosa had lied about deleting the photos. This was it. "I'm leaving," Daniel said simply. "What?" "I'm leaving you, Rebecca. I want a divorce." The room spun. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. "Why? What did I do?" Daniel laughed, bitter and sharp. "What did you do? You've been checked out of this marriage for years. We both know it. But I finally met someone who makes me feel alive again, someone who sees me, and I'm not letting that go." Rosa. He was leaving me for Rosa. The irony was so perfect it almost made me laugh. "Who is she?" I asked, playing dumb. "Her name is Rosa," Daniel said, and there was something in his voice, pride, defiance, love. "I know this is sudden, I know it's not fair, but I can't keep living this lie." Living this lie. The words echoed in my skull. "Does she know you're married?" I asked carefully. "Of course. I told her everything, and she said she doesn't care. She wants to be with me anyway." Of course she did, because she'd known from the beginning, because I'd gift-wrapped him for her. "I'll have my lawyer send over the papers," Daniel continued. "You can have the penthouse. I'm not interested in fighting over assets. I just want out." "Wait, what?" "You're giving me the penthouse," I repeated slowly. "I don't need it. Rosa has a place. We're going to start fresh. No baggage." No baggage, no prenup enforced, no scandal, just a clean break where I kept everything. Daniel left that evening, packed a bag and walked out without looking back. I sat in the empty penthouse, trying to process what had just happened. Rosa had blackmailed me into helping her seduce my husband. I'd complied to protect my reputation and assets. And now Daniel was leaving me voluntarily, letting me keep everything, while running off with the woman I'd served to him on a silver platter. It was the perfect crime, except nobody was a victim. Or maybe we all were. My phone buzzed. A text from Rosa. "I'm sorry, I didn't think he'd leave you, I just wanted. I don't know what I wanted, but I'm sorry." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed back, "Don't be, you did me a favor." Because the truth was, she had. Daniel was gone, and I was free. Free to be with Christopher without hiding. Free to live my life without pretending. Free of a marriage that had died years before Rosa ever took that first photograph. The blackmail had set me free. 3 months later, I'm sitting in a lawyer's office, signing divorce papers. Daniel's lawyer says he's been very generous. I'm keeping the penthouse, most of the investments, the cars. He just wants out. I sign my name, and it's over. That night, I meet Christopher for dinner. He knows about the divorce. The official story is that Daniel and I grew apart. Nobody needs to know the truth. "Are you okay?" Christopher asks, touching my hand. "Yeah," I say, and I mean it. I really am. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. "Saw the divorce is final. For what it's worth, Daniel is happy, really happy, so thank you for everything." Rosa, of course. I delete the message and put my phone away. Christopher is talking about a weekend trip, about meeting his parents, about the future. And for the first time in years, I'm listening, really listening, because I want to. The maid wanted my husband, and in the end, she didn't just take him. She freed us both. So there you have it. The shocking truth behind "I Want Your Husband" wasn't about stealing or revenge or forbidden passion. It was about 3 people trapped in a lie and how sometimes the most twisted path leads to the truth. Rosa got Daniel. I got my freedom. And Daniel got a woman who actually wanted him. Sometimes the villain of your story is actually your savior. You just don't know it until the ending.